to Tennessee's at-home learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for all fifth graders out there, though everyone is welcome to tune in. This lesson is the second lesson in our series for this week. My name is Ms. Thompson, and I'm a fifth grade teacher at Venus Stewart Elementary in Gallatin, Tennessee. I'm so excited to be your teacher for this lesson. Welcome to my virtual classroom. If you didn't see any of the previous lessons, you can find those lessons at www.tn.gov/education. You can still tune into today's lesson even if you haven't seen the other ones. Now, today, we're going to dig back into reading our Chinese fable called Why the Dog Hates the Cat. But before we get started and to participate fully in today's lesson, you're going to need just a few things. You're going to need 2 pieces of paper, a flat surface to write on, a marker or a highlighter, and you're also going to need the student pack for ELA Grade 5 Lesson 17. I have it right here. It says Grade 5 Lesson 17, and you can find that at www.tn.gov/education. I'll give you a few minutes to prepare for our time together. Now, back in Lesson 1, we started reading a Chinese fable called Why the Dog Hates the Cat by Norman Pittman. Do you remember what a fable is? Yes, a fable is a short story. Typically, it has animals in it and it teaches us a lesson. And we call that lesson the moral or the theme of the story. Well, it looks like we have a few animals in our fable, and they're the characters in the title, the dog and the cat. And what were their names? Do you remember? Yes, Blackfoot and Tabby. Very good. But tell me, at the end of our previous lesson, did we find out why exactly the dog hates the cat? No, we did not. We hope to get a little closer to solving that mystery today. Before we start reading, I would like for us to take a look at a student's independent practice from our first lesson. And that's going to help us really remember and get our brains prepped to dig into today's learning. If you remember, I asked you to fill out a chart, a character chart, for Widow Wang and Ming Li. Now, I also asked you to fill it out for Old Monk, Tabby the cat, and Blackfoot the dog. You are to finish filling in what we know about these characters. So, this student filled completely in what we know about the characters and what we know about the animals. Look at this in Widow Wang. Surprised at the gift. Do we remember that part? Surprised at the gift. The monk brought her that magic golden beetle. Do you remember that? And also Ming Li feels bad for his mom. Do we remember him feeling bad for his mom? Remember he felt like the pangs of sorrow because he saw how she was having to live? I'm sure your work is really, really good. But let's not forget though, I also asked you to write a few sentences about what you thought was in Widow Wang's pot of boiling water. Remember, she placed the tiny magical golden beetle in the boiling water and waited. What was it? How long did she have to wait? That's right, 3 minutes. What did she have to do for those 3 minutes? Who remembers? Very good memory. She had to say the name of the food she wanted over and over. I remember, she had a little rhyme. Oh, what food did she hope would be in the pot when she lifted the lid? Who remembers? That's right, dumplings, those little boiled balls of dough. Those are delicious. So, what did you write? Did you write what she would find? Some people said that I saw some work that was submitted. Some people said she found nothing, just the beetle at the bottom of the pot. Others said she found money, magic dust, and even the old monk. That's pretty funny. Did anybody write down that she found the dumplings? I can't wait to find out who's right. Now, I'm going to back up just a little bit and reread a little bit of what we read in Lesson 1, and then we'll get into the new stuff. We'll start at the place where the old monk left, just after giving Widow Wang the golden beetle and telling her how to use its magic. She is alone and trying to cook up some delicious dumplings with nothing but a pot of boiling water and a magical golden beetle. Are you ready? Let's go. I'm right here. You're following along with me, please. When the door was shut, the old woman hurriedly kindled a fire, boiled some water, and then dropped in the golden beetle, repeating these words again and again. Dumplings, dumplings, come to me. I am thin as thin can be. Dumplings, dumplings, smoking hot. Dumplings, dumplings, fill the pot. Would those 3 minutes never pass? Could the monk have told the truth? Her old head was nearly wild with excitement as clouds of steam rose from the kettle. Off came the lid. She could wait no longer. Now, the mystery is killing me. Isn't it you? I'm right here. Picking up on our new reading for today. Wonders of wonders. There, before her unbelieving eyes, was a pot full to the brim of pork dumplings, dancing up and down in the bubbling water, the best, the most delicious dumplings she had ever tasted. She ate and ate till there was no room left in her greedy stomach. And then she gave the cat and the dog a feast that left them full to bursting. Wow. Did it work? Yes, it did work. And not just one dumpling, but Widow Wang got a pot full of dumplings. And what did she do? Yes, what did she do? She ate and ate till there was no room left in her stomach. Now, what word did the author use to describe how she was eating? Greedy. So she was eating and eating and eating. And what does it mean to be greedy? It's almost like her stomach is saying, I want more, I want more, I want more. And do you remember in our previous reading what Widow Wang compared her stomach to? That's right, an ocean. Remember, an empty ocean. She said her stomach was as empty as an ocean. Well, is it as empty as an ocean now? Nope, it's very, very full. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think Widow Wang ate so much? Look at this phrase, ate and ate until there was no room left in her stomach. Right. We remember from our first reading that she had been very poor, and as a result, she had no money to buy any food. She was really, really hungry. When Widow Wang was full, who did she feed next? Yep, she fed the cat and the dog. We read right here, then she gave the cat and dog a feast and left them full to bursting. What do you think that means? Yeah, I agree. Like Widow Wang, the cat and the dog both were so hungry that this food really felt like a feast and left them terribly full, so full that they could burst. Do you think that they are used to being so full of good food? I don't think so either. Do you think they were happy? Probably so. I'm moving on. Good fortune has come at last, whispered Blackfoot, the dog, to Tabby, the cat, as they lay down to sun themselves outside. Well, okay, now we get to a point where who is talking? Look at these quotes, whispered Blackfoot. Now, the animals are talking. That's interesting, and it really does help us remember that this story is a what? It's a fable. Most fables have talking animals in them. And what do those animals do? That's right. They teach us a lesson or a moral or what we call the theme. Do we know what the theme is yet in our story, our fable? We don't know yet. Now, what does Blackfoot mean when he says this phrase right here? Good fortune has come at last. What does he mean? That's right. He means that they finally have some good luck. Fortune means luck has come their way. But most importantly, he says that fortune or luck has come at last. What does that mean, come at last? That's right. That means they've been waiting for a very, very long time. I'm right here. Mrs. Wang fairly danced for joy at the thought of her son's return and how she would be able to feed him. Poor boy, how surprised he will be at our fortune. And it's all on account of his goodness to his old mother. Well, to me, this section right here, it really sounds like Widow Wang is very, very happy. The magical golden beetle worked. Who is she most excited to share this with? Who is she most excited? That's right. She can't wait to share it with her son, Ming Li, and find happiness in the thought of actually feeding him again. She cannot wait to do that. Now, why do we think that this would make her so happy? Why would it make her so happy to feed him? That's right. They've been poor and hungry for such a long time that even Ming Li continues to have no luck when he goes out in search of work. Maybe Widow Wang feels like this is her way of trying to help too. Even better, it might be her way of solving all their problems together. Now, I'm going to reread this sentence right here. Poor boy, how surprised he will be at our fortune. And it's all on his account of his goodness to his mother. What do you think it means that their good fortune or their luck is all on account of Ming Li's goodness to his old mother? Yes, on account of means because. That word means because, that phrase means because, excuse me. So let's replace the words on account of in this sentence with one of those examples. Poor boy, how surprised he will be at his fortune. And it's all because, you see how I replaced that word? Of his goodness to his old mother. It's all because of his willingness to help her. So this tells us how Widow Wang really feels about her son, but I'm curious to know what you think this says about Ming Li. Grab your piece of paper and I want you to write it down, and I'm going to do the same. What do you think this tells us about Ming Li feels about his mother? Now, what did you say? I want to share kind of what I wrote down. I said that this tells us that Widow Wang knows that it's only because of her son, Ming Li, that this good fortune has come to them. The gods have seen how good he is to his mother. He's cared for her before and after his pneumonia. He continues to go out looking for work so she can have food and clothing. And even now, he gets up every morning to go in search of work so that he can take care of her. It sounds like he's a pretty good son. All right. What do you think Ming Li is going to do when his mother shares the story of the monk's good visit? The gift from the gods and the golden beetle's magical meal of steaming dumplings. Let's find out. I'm right here. When Ming Li came with a dark cloud overhanging his head, the widow saw plainly that disappointment was written there. Ooh, it sounds like another day of him not being able to find work, because we know he goes out in search of work every day. Come, come, lad, she cried cheerily. Clear up your face and smile, for the gods have been good to us, and I shall soon show you how richly we have been rewarded. So, saying, she dropped the golden beetle into the boiling water and stirred up the fire. Here we go. She's definitely trying to cheer him up, and she thought that showing him the golden beetle would do the trick. What do you think his expression is at this moment? Remember, he's gone out to look for work. He doesn't have any work. He knows they don't have food. How do you think his expression is when he comes home? Clear up your face and smile. He's probably very sad. He's probably very upset. And then she says, I've got something to show you. And do you think he'd be surprised? Let's find out. I'm right here towards the end of the paper. Thinking his mother had gone stark mad, Ming Li stared solemnly at her. Blackfoot licked his hand comfortingly as if to say, cheer up, master. Fortune has turned in our favor. Tabby leaped upon a bench, purring like a sawmill. Well, we see that Ming Li says his mother has gone stark mad. What do you think the word stark means? Stark means completely, and mad means crazy. So Ming Li thinks his mother has gone totally crazy. Because remember, he's going out to look for food. They have no food, and all of a sudden he gets back and she's saying that we have this magic thing that can feed us food. So we were right about the way Ming Li looked at his mother. Well, the text says that he looked at her solemnly. What do you think the word solemnly means? Solemnly means serious and kind of sad or bummed out. So I'm going to write just sad above that word. Remember, writing the definitions above unknown vocabulary words will help you understand the text a little bit better. What other clues does the author give us that tell us that Ming Li is feeling solemn? How do we know he's solemn? Right. We read right here that the dog Blackfoot licked Ming Li's hand, and even Tabby the cat leaped up next to him and purred. They had already filled their bellies with the dumplings from the magical golden beetle, and they were trying to tell him that their mother was right and their luck had changed. So I'm thinking that Ming Li probably looked at his mother a little bit differently than what we thought at first. What do you think his expression would look like now that he's looked at her solemnly? Remember, sadness, serious. That's probably how he's looking. Do you think he believed her? Remember, she's trying really hard to convince him. What do you think she's going to have to do to make him believe it's true? How do you think she can convince him? Because he doesn't believe her right now. Let's find out. I'm at the bottom. Ming Li did not have long to wait. Almost in the twinkling of an eye, he heard his mother crying out. Turning the page in my student packet. Sit down at the table, son, and eat these dumplings while they're smoking hot. So Ming Li was just waiting, probably thinking his mother had lost her mind, and then she told him to come to the table and eat. I bet now he's thinking, no way, she really is crazy. Could he have heard correctly? Did his ears deceive him or play a trick on him? No. There on the table was a huge platter full of the delicious pork dumplings he liked better than anything else in the world, except, of course, his mother. Now, he thinks the mother's crazy, and then all of a sudden, what does he see at the table? Yes, they were really there, his favorite pork dumplings, and not just a few of them, but a huge platter. And we see in this sentence, it says, he liked better than anything in the world except, of course, his mother. So earlier, we started to add what we already know about Ming Li. And what more does this sentence tell us about him? Yes, he loves his mother even more than he loves food. So we know he really, really, really loves his mother. Eat and ask no questions, said the widow Wang. When you are satisfied, I will tell you everything. Very soon, the young man's chopsticks were twinkling like a little star in the song. He ate long and happily while his good mother watched him, her heart overflowing with joy at seeing him at last able to satisfy his hunger. But still, the old woman could hardly wait for him to finish. She was so anxious to tell him her wonderful secret. Well, we learn quite a bit over here in this section. It looks like Ming Li didn't have any trouble digging into that huge platter of his favorite steaming hot pork dumplings. The text says that he ate long and happily. That's what the text says. What do you think his eating this meal changed his mood from solemn to happy? How did he go from being solemn to happy? That's right. Remember, he was really, really, really hungry. And if you're really hungry and then you get food, is your mood going to change? I think so. But I wonder if he's also thinking that this magic must be real, that maybe their hunger is a thing of the past. Do you think he thinks their troubles might be over? Let's keep going. Here, son, she cried at last, as he began to pause between mouthfuls. Look at my treasure. And she held out to him the golden beetle. This little thing comes with a secret worth thousands to us. Can you see him? Can you picture him between bites looking at what his mother has in her hands? I can kind of picture it too. What do you think it means when she says, this little thing comes with a secret worth thousands to us? Take a second to jot that down. What do you think it means when she says this little thing comes with a secret worth thousands to us? Jot that down. What do you think this phrase means? This little thing comes with a secret worth thousands to us. What do you think that means? Now, I think it means that Widow Wang believes the golden beetle is worth so much more to them. She says thousands, and that's a lot. I also think that she's letting her son know the fact that the beetle comes with a secret, the secret of how to use it. For without the secret, the golden beetle doesn't work. It's almost like a golden trinket. Do you think Widow Wang will share the beetle's secret with her son? Let's find out and see. Ming Li fingered the trinket idly, still doubting his senses and waiting impatiently for the secret of his delicious dinner. But mother, what has this beetle to do with the dumplings? These wonderful pork dumplings, the finest I ever ate. Beetle indeed. Listen and you shall hear a tale that will open your eyes. Of course, Ming Li is anxious to hear how this little beetle made his yummy dinner. I wonder what the mother's going to tell him. Do you think she's going to tell them the truth? She then told him what happened and ended by setting all of the leftover dumplings on the floor for Blackfoot and Tabby, a thing her son had never seen her do before. For they had been miserably poor and had had to save every scrap for the last meal. Why do you think the author added that the Widow Wang set all the leftover dumplings on the floor for Blackfoot and Tabby, a thing her son had never seen her do before? Why do you think the author put that in there? Why do you think he put that in there? Very good. He put that in there to emphasize that Widow Wang is very confident that this is real and they no longer have to worry about being hungry. They now have enough food to share with their pets. So remember, before, they didn't have hardly any food and they couldn't share with their pets. And now she's just putting the scraps out for the dogs and cat. Do you think this action made Ming Li more confident in his mother's story? I agree. I bet he's feeling more convinced all the time. What do you think happens afterwards? Do you think life for the Wangs changed? If so, how? And what about Blackfoot and Tabby? Do you think their life changed? Let's keep reading to find out. I'm on the next to last paragraph. Now began a long period of happiness. Mother, son, dog, and cat all enjoyed themselves to their heart's content. All manner of new foods, such as they had never tasted, were called forth from the pot by the wonderful little beetle. Bird's nest soup, shark fins, and 100 other delicacies were theirs for the asking. And soon Ming Li regained all of his strength. But I fear, at the same time, grew somewhat lazy, for it was no longer necessary for him to work. As for the two animals, they became fat and sleek, and their hair grew long and glossy. Well, it sounds like life really did change. It changed a lot for Widow Wang, Ming Li, and the dog and cat. We know for sure they weren't hungry anymore. Did they just get dumplings from the magic golden beetle? Nope. They got all kinds of delicacies. Now, let's look at that word, delicacies. What do we think that word means? It really means fancy or expensive or rare foods. They were really living it up. Rare foods. They were getting things that they've never had before. Rare foods. But wait, how did we find out that Ming Li changed? Right, he regained his strength because he was eating so well. But look what else happened. He became lazy. Why do you think he became lazy? That's a question I have, and good readers always ask questions as they read. Why did he become lazy? Well, I think it's because he just knows that food is available all the time and he doesn't have to work for it anymore. And he's just going to let the magic beetle do all the work for him. There's no need for money when the food is already there. What is there to work for? What about Blackfoot and Tabby? Did they change too? Yes, they changed just like Ming Li. They grew fat and sleek, and they no longer needed to go out and hunt for food because Widow Wang and Ming Li gave them all the scraps they could ever want. But before we move on, do you think they were able to keep all of this a secret? I'm sure they were proud to have such fine food, and at any time they wanted it. If you were Widow Wang or Ming Li, would you want to share with other people what you knew? Let's see what they chose to do next. I'm in the last paragraph in your student packet. But alas, the little family became so proud of their good fortune that they began to ask friends and relatives to dinner in order to show off their good meals. I knew it, didn't you? What happened? They couldn't keep their magic a secret. They were so proud that they had to share it. They invited people over for dinner just so they could show off their good food. Do you think this is a good idea? I don't know. And you guessed it, we're going to have to wait until our next lesson to find out. Let's take a few minutes and put our brains together. How about that? And get you ready for your independent practice that you're going to do at home. I'm going to ask you a few really, really important questions. So go ahead, grab your piece of paper. Now, I want to look back at our chart again that we did on our last lesson. This is from lesson 1. Let's focus on what we know. This section over here, what we know about Widow Wang and Ming Li. The feelings and actions of these two characters. Let's focus on that. Now, we charted, we know she's a widow. And what does that mean? She's lost her husband. That's what that means. Lost husband. Right? I'm always writing down, tracking my thoughts. We know she's Ming Li's mother. She used money on medicine for Ming Li when he was sick. We also know, poor and hungry. Widow Wang has a dog and a cat, visited by the old monk. The monk gives her gifts from the gods, a magical golden beetle. She was surprised. She was told how to use that beetle, and she used the magic beetle to cook something. Now, let's look at Ming Li. Here's what we charted in our last lesson. What do we know about Ming Li? He's the son of Widow Wang. He feels bad for his mom. He's poor and hungry. He's the eldest or oldest. Look, if you didn't know that definition, it tells you when you see a comma in the word or, it tells you the definition. He was very sick during the winter and trying to fix the roof of the family's house. He doesn't have a job. He believes the gods will provide, and he goes out and looks for a job every day. All this is our background knowledge that we've already charted. Now, that's some really good information. What can we add? Let's add some more things about Widow Wang and Ming Li. Now, I'm going to add over here that she discovered that the beetle worked. She discovered that the beetle worked. We know that for sure. What else do we know? She was happy to feed her son. She was happy to feed her son and the pets. We know that for sure. Now, let's go and add a couple things for Ming Li that we read from our new reading today. What do we know for sure? We know he came home and what happened? He didn't find a job again. He came home without a job again. What else do we know? We know that he thought his mother was crazy. Now, I could add a lot more things based on all my reading here today. I could add a ton more things. So if you want to, go ahead and add more from our reading today in Widow Wang and Ming Li and what you know for sure about them. Now, I know we also did Tabby the cat and Blackfoot the dog, right? We knew from the beginning on our first lesson they were hungry, cold, and skinny. Hungry, almost dead, and cold. What did we add today? What can we add today from our new reading? That's right, full and fat. I'm going to add that to both. Let me ask you a question. Did we get any new information about the old monk? We did not. So we don't want to add anything into what we know section for the old monk. Remember, all of this is from our previous reading. This is from our new reading. Remember, we continue to add to our chart. Now, I would like for us to take a second to think a little bit deeper about the relationship between Widow Wang and her son, Ming Li. Now, keep your paper right there, and I want you to jot your answers down as I ask them. Are you ready? Question number 1. From the beginning of our fable until now, how has Widow Wang felt about Ming Li? How has Widow Wang felt about Ming Li? Now I'm going to switch it. How has Ming Li felt about Widow Wang, his mother? What do you think has made their feelings change? What do you think has made their feelings change? How has this impacted the way that these two characters interact? Is there anything they could change about the way they feel about one another or how they interact in the future? You can pause your video to answer those questions. Now, we did a lot of good thinking together today, and we did a lot of new reading together today, but we still didn't get to the moral or theme or lesson of the story, and we still don't know why the dog hates the cat. I think you're still ready to move on to your independent work because we did so much work today. Now, after our lesson is over, I want you to take some time to complete a really, really cool activity. You can read right along with me if you want to. And it should be in your student packet. Imagine you are Ming Li. Let me zoom out so you can see it. Here's your independent practice. Imagine you are Ming Li. Retell the events in the story from your point of view. Oh, wow. That's interesting because now you're not going to be the author. You're going to be who? Ming Li. Start at the beginning of the story as you leave to look for work and end where our text ended today. Remember, you, your mother, your cat, and your dog are all living a wonderful life full of good food from this magic golden beetle. And now you and your mother have decided to share your wonderful food with friends and family members. Will you share the secret of the golden beetle too? Make sure to include your thoughts, feelings, and actions from Ming Li's point of view. You might even see things differently than the way the narrator portrayed it. Include good descriptive words to help your readers see the story you're telling. Add some dialogue to make sure your story is more interesting to read. Use your answers from today's questions and your character chart to support your writing. Now, I want you to keep up with your writing because you're going to need it for lesson 3. Now, remember, you're retelling what we read today in Ming Li's point of view. Remember, that's going to be in first person point of view because you're him. A narrator is telling us this fable right now, but I want you to step in and pretend you're Ming Li. And are you going to share the secret of the magic beetle with the people you invite over? I've enjoyed reading this Chinese fable with you today. In our next lesson, we will continue to ask the question, why does the dog hate the cat? As always, thank you for inviting me into your home, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson in Tennessee's At Home Learning series. Have a good day.